Real question is, are you going to want to perform in Australia?
Well, that's the question we've been getting, isn't it? Like, now that we've done a tour in America...
Because I'm assuming your parents are going to go to that, right?
I mean, I assume so. Yeah. Unless my dad's like, nah, it can't be fucked. Nah, I don't think they'll say that,
Cool to do a one-off show in Australia.
I mean, yeah. Again, like, the biggest question we've been getting now that we've finished the European tour is like, well... Asia tour next? And,
yeah.
If that's the case, we have to go to Australia.
I think we'd have to figure out... we kind of figured out in the Europe tour how much harder logistics was compared to America.
Yeah, we should like the merch, because you can't travel with merch across borders. Otherwise, you pay taxes.
Yeah.
So you have to get it delivered. And obviously, when you're... as you all know, if you've ever lived in Europe, deliveries are not... reliant or reliable at all.
Yeah.
Well, so, one of the shows, the merch guys fucked up, and we almost weren't able to sell merch.
Denmark?
No, it was Rotterdam.
Yeah, Rotterdam or Amsterdam. I can't remember. Maybe it was Denmark.
No, it was Denmark.
Oh, was it Denmark?
Yeah.
The merch didn't show up till after the show.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Because one of the drivers of the delivery company missed the shipment. So our fucking team, I want to big it up to our team, who were fucking goated and sorted out somehow.
So professional.
So they hired someone to take 7 or 10 or something, a ridiculous amount of
boxes.
17 boxes of merch on a plane to Denmark, sorry. So we can get to our show on time, because we were this close to not having any merch of that show.
Yeah, because that's how you kind of make a lot of the shows profitable and make sense to do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times that's how, I'm sure you all know if you've watched music, that's how bands make most of their money.
Totally.
Yeah, and they somehow managed to make it happen. And that wasn't even like one of the most impressive things, because we found out, I think 3 days before our Cardiff show, that our venue had just closed.
Yeah.
It just closed.
It was so funny. So I was sitting on the bus, and I haven't used the BBC News app in a long time, because they changed it and the layout of it is now shit. And so I stopped using it because it was so annoying to navigate.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was on the back of the bus, and we were on our way to the Berlin show, and the one of our tour staff was in the back with us, and I was just scrolling on it, and I saw this news article that said, and it was posted 2 minutes ago. It was like, St. David's Hall closed in Wales, and I was like, huh. That sure sounds like the venue that we're performing in. But
Let's check the poster real quick.
But St. David's in Wales, that's everywhere. Because he's like our only dude.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's have a look where it is. It's like St. David's Hall in Cardiff. And I was like, oh, maybe there's 2 halls in Cardiff. Because we're having a show in a few days. There's no way it's closing.
Yeah. And
then I look up online. I was like, oh, that's our venue. It's closed. And the reason why it's closed is because in the UK right now, there's this whole thing where there's a big scare going on because some buildings used aerated concrete.
Which I'd never heard of until this.
Which, my God, UK construction, man. I mean, of course we would use that, because we also use like an ungodly amount of asbestos as well.
Yeah. So what? Why?
Why
did we use aerated concrete?
Cost-cutting measure. Yeah,
it's cheap. I see.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you use less concrete and then it's aerated,
it's cheaper, but it's also more brutal.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So the venue was shut, and I think there was a brief moment when we all thought, oh, well, I guess the tour's finishing in London.
Yeah.
Because it just seemed like it was logistically impossible to get a show in Wales.
We had 3 days to find and set up a new venue,
which is like normally an impossible.
Yeah.
Because we had a venue that was 1,200.
Yeah.
And you can't just transfer that size. But I think luckily we'd sold less tickets, which is normally not a lucky thing. But it worked out that we could find another venue last minute. And it all
at
worked
the
out
university,
somehow.
right?
Yeah, the Students' Union University, which was kind of fun because it was actually like a really cozy venue.
It was cool.
We were really close to the audience,
Yeah.
even though there was 700 people there.
Totally.
It was a nice send off to the show. It was a nice like chill vibe. Going back to uni, everyone in Wales was super nice.
Yeah,
and super
I got to
chill
say
as well.
Big up to my Welsh viewers. You guys were by far, and you had some good competition, but everyone was super polite. in Wales.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like I was going in and out of the venue a lot, and people were like, "Oh, hi Connor,"
Yeah.
And they would just be like, "Oh, have a nice day," and they'd hold the door open for me and stuff. And I was
Aw.
like, "Dude, what the heck?"
That's so
Like,
nice.
Not that like it's just because like sometimes we were running and being rushing, and I feel bad when I would be like, I can't stop and talk. I'm sorry." They're like, "Oh, go ahead, see you." Yeah, they're super polite. Good Bosch boys.
Yeah.
Good Bosch boys.
Well, one thing I found funny when we were in Wales actually is when we went to Cardiff Castle. And there was one super proud Welshman there, just like telling us the history, because we were talking about how we were performing and our venue had like closed down due to structural issues. And he was talking about, well, you should have just fucking performed here, you know.
At Cardiff Castle.
Yeah, he's been like, we've been invaded by the English, the Romans. We've been invaded so many times. They kicked our ass, and we're still here. And they're like, oh,
Most Welsh thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the cap of this place? Like 20?
I realize how I don't come across as Welsh at all because people kept asking me. They're like, "Is your first time in Wales?"
Really?
Yeah, in all the stores I went to, and I was like, "No."
I guess it's because you've lost your accent.
I don't
right?
have, well, I never had a Welsh accent, but I don't sound Welsh. And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm Welsh." And she's like, "Oh, cool." I think I actually was sort of the one store clerk, and I knew right away. She thought I was doing that American thing where like you say like, "Oh no, I'm Irish."
Like I'm 1/8 Welsh.
You know, I 100% was. I knew she was thinking that.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
way that she responded to me was like, "Oh, that's nice." And I was like, "No," I didn't say anything. But in my head, I was like, "No, I speak the language.
America pilled.
I'm Welsh. I'm as Welsh as it gets."
You know what? I will say, I do enjoy traveling, especially to European countries with Americans. Because they are they are so easily impressed.
Oh my God, like-
and it was
Jessie, our tour manager, everywhere she went, she was just bright-eyed. Like she was like, "I fucking love it here." Like
I am so jealous of their energy because you know,
Yeah.
growing up in English, it's like, yes, it's a fucking castle.
Yeah.
Like we got so many of them
love the
here.
castle.
Yeah, and every time they'd see anything in Europe, it's just like, oh my god, that's so amazing. like we were. We were walking around Copenhagen, and our tour manager was so fucking enamored with like this European city, with Copenhagen, that we went to, I believe, like another castle there or something. And there was this Danish like guard, like, you know, one of the traditional Danish guards there, and he was just like marching. Like he had a gun, which he was like carrying this gun like a baby.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone handle
There's
a gun
such passion.
so delicately
I
before.
a picture of this Danish guy.
Yeah. And he was just like marching across like the castle, and our tour manager goes, "Oh my god, just look at the way he walks. He puts one foot in front of the other foot. It's just amazing." And I'm like, "Jesse, that's just typically how people walk."
You just described walking. Like,
Oh wow, they look like British ones.
yeah, no, they do. They
What
do.
the fuck? Where did they steal
But
our
like
thing?
but this guy was like hugging this fucking like AK.
Yeah.
and it was crazy. Like,
AK?
Is
Is that a standard issue in Denmark?
it was like a semi-automatic. Like I don't
It
know.
was a gun. We don't know our guns.
Yeah, I
okay,
don't know our
Joey
guns.
just said AK. I don't think it was an AK.
It's probably, yeah, what was it?
I don't know
Yeah.
what it was. It was a big gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be really cool seeing how you travel a few hours and it's a completely different culture. And
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
pretty,
totally.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing that I've always felt, and one thing I've always kind of tried to explain, is that I think the vastness of America is lost on Americans a lot of the time too. It's so big, and it's really hard to appreciate that there are differences in America. But I think just because of how kind of you all are so insular yet so separated at the same time, like the fact that it's a 6-hour flight from one side of America to the other is insane.
Yeah.
It's such a large country.
Yeah.
But that being said, when you go to Europe and you're like, I drove an hour and it's a different country and different culture and different language. It's got to be such a freaky experience.
For me, the concept of just driving to another country is so foreign to me.
Oh yeah, Australia.
Because
I guess, yeah.
Australia and Japan can't do that shit. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, just like, you know, because I thought it was cool, like on the first America tour, where it was just like, oh, cool, we're in like a different state. You know, I just fucking fast travel to another city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When this one, it was like, I just fast travel to another country.
Yeah.
And that was like wild to me.